single day, I'm gonna make something great. That's my way. Every single day, I'm gonna make.
I wonder if you don't have a second screen to open, Cyril.
I do.
Hello, everyone. I'm hoping we are live on Facebook. There's no way of me checking, so I don't know.
I'm checking for you.
Yeah, check, please. If you're there, please give likes. I don't know. There's no way of using this program of seeing if we are
live.
If people are, oh, that's awesome. Okay. So yes, hello everyone. Happy blessed Wednesday. This is another show of Naked TikTok with Dr. Auda. And today I have my guest already on camera. And that is a celebration to be had. I know we don't drink at noon. We don't drink on Wednesday. But still, I have the pleasure of having a good friend, somebody that I share a mission trip with, Dr. Len Schwartz. Let me know if I'm saying your last name correctly. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yes. And for the people that don't know you, and can you give us a little bit of history, like where do you live? What do you practice? What's your story? Please.
Sure. Thank you. Glad to be here, by the way. So I started practicing in 1993. And so, yeah, it was a while ago. And I built one of the biggest practices in Philly. That's where I'm from. And what happened was a lot of other docs and a lot of other professionals that were also patients of mine kept asking me, how are you doing this? And so after enough people wanted to know, can you help me do the same with my practice? I transitioned out of practice in 2002 to help other chiropractors and doctors and professionals build their practice too. More specifically, put systems in place to help them enjoy a steady flow of new patients, in this case, new patients, referrals, etc. So that's what I do.
That is very cool. So you've been doing this all along, right?
I've owned my marketing company for 20 years. So yeah, it's been a while.
Wow, that is amazing. I really didn't know you were doing that, but I do remember your program, and it used to be. I remember buying it, and it came with slides that you would do. Remember those slides that you would put in the projector?
Yep, the overhead, the plastic overhead tray, whatever.
Plastic overhead. Yeah. Oh my God, I remember it was so useful, such amazing. They were not PowerPoints, but presentations, shall we say, depending on the thing that you wanted to promote. So I remember getting your program back in the day, and this was a long time ago. So I'm so grateful to know you since then. And I know that we share a Chiro mission together, right? This was years back, right?
We did, yeah. We maybe 10-ish years ago. So it's been a while, but yep, we did. That was a fantastic opportunity for sure.
Yeah, well, it's wonderful to have you. So let's just assume that you have worked with enough chiropractors, right? And you have kind of a pulse on our profession. What do you think we chiropractors where do you think we're missing the ball? What is it that we are missing, whether in practice or personality-wise, or together as a community, as a profession? What are your thoughts on that? Because I love to pick people's brains on this.
Well, I think what's old is also new again. And what I mean by that is it all comes down to patient education. It all comes down to being able to communicate in a way where people, new patients, prospective patients, just understand the power of what we do. And I think that's been the case since the chiropractic first started. And I think it's just as true today. Although I admit back in 1993, when I told people I was a chiropractor, they would look at me and shake their heads and think I was crazy. But now the difference, of course, is that we've achieved so much more exposure and market penetration. So I've been to a chiropractor. My brother goes to a chiropractor. My husband goes to a chiropractor. And what we want to hear more of is my kids get adjusted all the time. And in order to be able to take our profession and each individual practice to the next level, I'm going to say the same thing. It comes down to a willingness to share the story and communicate the value of what we do in a way where people get it. Unfortunately, and I'll wrap up my answer by saying this, I think too many chiropractors talk or communicate in a way that only other chiropractors get it. So saying we turn the power on as chiropractors, we get it, but most people don't know what that means. So it becomes sort of an obstacle or a roadblock in getting people to raise their hand and say, you know, maybe you ought to check me, or maybe I ought to get adjusted. And so that's the big deal for me today, just as it was 30 years ago.
Wow. Well, I mean, you say that and so many things pop up, just as I guess is how my brain works. But I'm always fighting, fighting is not the right word, but I feel like we need to come together as a profession. And wouldn't it be great if we all had the same elevator pitch, right? That we could all come together, at least in one 30-second explanation, so we can get the word out the right way, and we can reach the masses, and we can be more congruent, and we can be more unified in order to be able to conquer this medical model that is totally failing us and our children. So if you could come up with this 30-second elevator pitch that we all be following, that it will make us more streamlined, that will make us more unified, that will make all this bull out of the, the mixer, the nutrition, but my gosh, chiropractic can be so simple. And I have experienced this so much because of my mission trips the last 10 years and leading all these groups. And chiropractic becomes so beautiful and so simple and so miraculously, especially for our children that need it. These are the new generation. So if you were to come up, and I know this is out of the blue because this is not rehearsed, and I'm sorry for just throwing at you, but you were speaking and that's what came in my heart, and this is Naked Tick. So what would be that 30-second elevator pitch, or what would be that sentence? What do you think it would be?
Well, you make me, with your question, what popped up into my head was the way in which I used to talk with medical doctors or DOs or specialists about what I did. And if I had an opportunity and they would challenge the validity or the value of what we do as chiropractors, my answer was always this: you already know that the nervous system controls every muscle, organ, gland, and cell in the body. How could you possibly argue that removing nervous system interference won't help the body function better? And then I'd shut up. You cannot argue human anatomy. I don't care what you do. So the titles, the mixer, the musculoskeletal, the subluxation base, and everybody in between, God bless you, do whatever you feel works for you. But at the end of the day, no matter how you practice, and it would be great to be unified, of course, but no matter how you practice, that is still the truth. I adjust spines and I remove nervous system interference so your body can function as close to 100% as possible. End of story. So I think that's what we do.
And who can argue that functioning at the best to 100% is going to be bad for you? Who can say that, right?
You cannot argue.
Not with the, that's what I say when I say it's so simple. It is so simple. We are removing the interference and letting the body do what it needs to do. Who can argue with that? Who's smarter than this amazing body that is doing millions of functions for us every single second? It's just so much going on. We cannot even comprehend it. We as women, as mothers, that babies are created inside of us, and we're like, it wasn't because of me. For sure, there's this beautiful innate intelligence. We cannot argue it. Just like I love Dr. Sid, how he used to drop the keys, because who can argue with gravity?
That's right.
Not on this planet, anyhow. Maybe not another planet, but not on this planet. So wouldn't it be great if we could just come up, and that would be our slogan for everything. And then we could do the mass media, we could do the TV, we could do the banners everywhere. That is the slogan, something that is catchy enough that you cannot argue with.
You can't argue with human anatomy. So there were, again, I'm repeating myself, but that argument, that discussion was held quite a bit with me, because when I practiced, either doctors loved me or they hated me. There was no in between. But one thing was always consistent, and that is I told the truth. And as a chiropractor, when you tell the truth that your job is to remove nervous system interference so your body can function, every muscle, organ, gland, and cell in the body at its optimum potential, that's the freaking truth. No one can touch you. No one can argue with that. And that's the power that you have in your hands. And so the missing link, quite frankly, as simple as that statement is, the missing link is, again, the willingness for the chiropractor to be able to communicate in such a way that people get it. They turn, I call it turning the light on, that they get the big idea instantly. And so if we have time, I want to share one of the ways in which I used to do that. And then I help chiropractors do that today. But in the spirit of talking about how can we together communicate what we do, there's my answer.
Oh gosh, I feel that we are lacking that certainty. This has come up in a lot of my interviews, that we chiropractors are lacking more certainty in order to be able to say the truth, loud, clear, simple, and get through people. Because if we were all unified in that we knew, and we, as we should know, because right, who can argue with anatomy?
That's right.
Then we would just come together, at least in this one sentence or this one belief, so we can impact the lives of so many people that are suffering. I mean, I'm still in practice. I've been in practice for 20 years, and I see it all day long, Len. I see it. People think, oh, but this is normal. It's normal to live like this. It's normal to have to take medications. It's normal. It is the normal thing. Who the heck put that in your brain? And how can we, as together, as a community, as chiropractors, as humans that want to see the better in people, how can we communicate our message more certainly so we can actually cross those boundaries that have been engraved in people's heads to believe that it is okay to live in crap and to take crap and to feel like crap. So I've always questioned this, because I wish we all had more certainty. And in order to have more certainty for us as professionals, so we can indeed say, tell the truth. What do you think we should do?
Well, it's interesting, because way back in 93 when I started, it was the same story then as it is now. And that is that certainty, that level of confidence, and that level of certainty to be able to get in front of, whether it be a group of people, or in front of a medical doctor, or in front of John Q. Public, who walks into your office, where you get to tell him what you do and do it in a way where he or she, I said John Q. Public, where he understands, in this case, what you do and how you can help him. And more importantly, and let me switch this around, how to get that new patient to actually want it so bad that they're grateful for having met you after the first visit, and they can't wait to come back so you can turn that power on, so you can actually help his body or her body function at the highest level. It's just the same. It's just as true today as it was 30 years ago, as it was 60 years ago. And so, again, I found that in that certainty for me really did come from just understanding human anatomy. We've talked about this, but it's worth it. There's no question the brain sends the messages down the spine. Spine sends the messages out through spinal nerves to every muscle, organ, gland, and cell. You cannot argue interference to any of those nerves means the brain cannot communicate with that end organ, let's just say. And so our job is to make sure that all those lines are clear so your brain can effectively control every muscle, organ, gland, and cell the way it's supposed to, so you work properly. That includes your immune system. And I don't have to tell you, but you can continue to go down that path to let somebody know. That's what this chart on the wall is showing you. And that's what we do.
And I'm listening to this and I'm like, okay, so how do we marry this anatomy lesson to things that people care about? To their value system, because at least in my experience, I feel when I touch the values, that's where I get somebody. When I tell her, I'm sometimes explaining, the connection brain bodies was going to be able to keep you to enjoy your children and blah, blah, blah. But when I'm like, you want to play with your granddaughter? Yes. You want to be able to lift her up and take her to the park? Yes. If you keep on this way, you won't be able to. boom. You know what I mean? It's just like, I got it where it hurts.
Yeah.
So I've always, obviously we understand anatomy, and yes, we chiropractors should take an anatomy lesson once in a while just to refresh our brains if we have lost it somewhere along the lines. But how do we marry that lesson that we know for sure, right? That the brain is
Yeah.
connected, sending the messages, and if it's not, there's an interruption in this message, there's going to be trouble somewhere down the line. How do we marry it to things that they truly value and care about? Because I also seen patients that make the money to do their nails and to drive the latest car, blah, 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 and they won't pay for the care, right? So
Yeah.
we see every single side of the spectrum, and I can speak to you very frankly because I'm in practice. So I'm seeing
Yep.
it daily right now, yesterday till 7:30 p.m. So
Yep.
so this is me, I guess, naked me, just asking you raw questions because I know that if I had the question, other people that are watching, and please post comments and questions if you're there. Thank you for watching. We're here, marketing questions, anything you want to know about how to reach your patients and get them to commit to lifetime chiropractic care. Please
Yeah.
post it and I will read it to him if I can see that. I'm hoping that it comes through. But coming back to my question,
Yep.
how can I marry those two?
So I think it all starts when you first meet this person. Somebody walks into your office for the first time, or you have a chance to meet somebody. I used to talk to people, cashiers. If they had the phone, I couldn't help myself. I was compelled to say something. So it starts with, and I think the promise of a fun or fulfilling lifestyle is great, but there's a fundamental or foundational understanding that has to take place first before we can start to paint the picture for what the rest of their life, enjoyment, experiences can look like. And so for me, believe it or not, before I shared that foundational understanding, I always ask somebody, listen, during that new patient consultation, how long have you had the problem? And I know we all do this. And then my most important question came with, do you think it's going to get better or worse or stay the same if you do nothing? Now, for me, if they didn't tell me that it was going to get worse, I didn't move. We kept talking. I would ask them a question. If you have a little tiny pinhole in your roof and it's raining, is that leak going to get better or worse or stay the same? And they would say, it's probably going to get worse. So I'd say, Mary, let me ask you again. You've had the problem for 3 years. Do you think your problem is going to get better or worse or stay the same? Finally, they would say it's going to get worse. I'd say, great. Now we have an understanding together of what's going to happen if this doesn't get fixed. Now that's not, by the way, that wasn't about answering your question. I'm going to give you my answer. After that, I'd say, well, let me explain what I do here, assuming they've never been to a chiropractor before. And frankly, even if they had been, I always went over this. And I'd say, let me show you the spine. And I had my model spine. And I'd say, do you have a circuit breaker box in your house? And they would say, yes. And I'd say, well, let me ask you, if a circuit to your kitchen blows, will anything in your kitchen work? And they would say, well, no, of course not. And I'd say, well, why? And they'd say, because there's no electricity going to the kitchen. And I'd say, that's exactly right. And I say, if the circuit blows to your bedroom, will anything in your bedroom work? And she would say, no. And I'd say, perfect. So I'd say, what I want you to understand, and I'd show them my spine, and I'd say, I want you to see, these are all your vertebrae. And these vertebrae are like 24 individual circuits that go out to every muscle, every organ, every gland and cell in your body. And I'd show and explain what a subluxation is. And I would say, this is just like a blown circuit. Now, let me ask you, your brain sends messages down the spine and out through this nerve right here. This nerve here goes to your leg. Let's pretend Mary came in with sciatica, right? Pain, tingling, numbness, whatever it was. And I'd go to that part of their body and I'd say, this nerve right here, Mary, this is actually going down your leg. And my guess is that part of the problem here is that you have a blown circuit in your lower back. And that's interfering with the nerve that's causing you to feel the pain or whatever the symptoms were in your leg. Do you know what I do? And invariably she would say, no. And I'd say, I turn the circuit back on. So I remove nerve interference, the interference of this nerve. And just like you flip a circuit on, and I make that visual motion because people get it, right? I turn the power back on so that there's no nerve interference to this nerve. And guess what happens to whatever the symptom she was experiencing in your leg? And all of a sudden she says, it goes away. And now she has an anchor, or he has an anchor. in their mind, a total understanding. My job is I turn the power back on. I turn circuit breakers on in their spine so everything can function properly. And guess what happens when they start thinking about their kids? And I ask questions like, Mary, do you have any idea whether your kids have any blown circuits? And then we sort of start that conversation. So anyway, that's my answer to your question, is it starts with a foundational understanding about what we do. And if they understand that we turn the power on and they get that understanding, then it becomes a totally different experience for them, because it isn't about let's just get the pain to go away. They're going to have an understanding that they want to make sure that all the circuits are on for what we hope is the rest of their life. It's the same reason we get adjusted every week. And so that's why that's my answer to your question.
Wow. I love that. And when you were saying that, there's another one that I use. Maybe our viewers can use it too. I think it's so current. I don't even remember who I heard it from. Probably Crystal. I don't remember. But it's very current to our kids, because obviously I have 2 teenagers myself, and everybody's stuck to this thing, right? And I always tell them, okay, you like to have 100% battery on your cell phone? And everybody's like, yeah. When your battery is running out, what are you doing? You're looking for an outlet. Like, you're killing people to go find that outlet, right? So I said, okay, so what is 100% battery on your cell phone if you have no Wi-Fi or connection? It's nothing, right? What is your 100% battery on your cell phone if you have no way of connecting to a Wi-Fi or connecting to your server, right? To your phone service? There's nothing. So there's nothing you can do. So I'm restoring your Wi-Fi connection. So you can send that message that you want to send, and send the picture and be able to be on Snapchat or whatever else that you do. And I think it's just so current. And when I say that, everybody's like, oh, okay, I got it. Like, you got to speak their language.
Absolutely,
but I know
yes.
you're going to tell us some things that probably we are doing wrong, and you're going to give us some tips. So please share with our audience. And JC is there saying hi to us. Love and appreciate you, my fail. I'm able to read the comments. I'm so excited with this V-Live thing. And he's saying, yes, he says that he knows us both. So
hey, JC.
For everybody watching. So go ahead, Dr. Len, give us more tidbits, because we need all we can get.
So, one of the things that I think, and we talked earlier in the conversation about the spectrum of chiropractors that we have. And when we were talking about like that whole unification effort. And so wherever you are, we have to admit that our culture, society still judges their health based on symptoms. Embracing that was a big deal for me, by the way, because guess what? Nobody was coming in to say, can you adjust my subluxation? So, embracing that's key. Knowing that we are a symptom-driven society. For me, one of the most effective referral generation systems that I put in place in my office was I would have cork boards. So depending on how my adjusting table was situated, usually it was in front of a blank wall, and I would put a cork board, and on that cork board, I would usually put 6 to 9 what I called case studies. And the big headline on top of all of those case studies were things like headaches in chiropractic, ear infections in chiropractic, pregnancy in chiropractic, low back pain, you get it. And you can just go on and on with all of the different common symptoms or health problems that people experience and chiropractic. And the reason that I had these strategically placed is because when people were waiting for me, and although it wasn't a half hour, it was probably 5 minutes or whatever, for me, I had that front and center. So what would happen more often than not every day was I didn't know chiropractic can help with fill in the blank. Or I could also be proactive. If I didn't generate 3 to 5 referrals a day, I could be proactive, and I can say, hey, Mary, great to see you today. By the way, I just put this case study up about headaches in chiropractic, or about fill in the blank in chiropractic. Did you know that chiropractic can help that? And that would either be yes, or it would be no, I had no idea. Or again, more often than not, no, I had no idea. But I have a sister who gets headaches all the time. She lives on Tylenol. Really, would you like me to explain how I might be able to help her? And so that's just, I know we're close on time here, but that's just one of my favorite strategies, one of my favorite opportunities to be able to just continue that, stay on purpose, stay on point, educate all day long, and just share more and more about how chiropractic can help fill in the blank.
I love it. I love it. I think it's just keeping the conversation, keeping
Correct.
the conversation constantly, no matter what we do. You want to complain about the weather? Let's talk about something that happens when the weather is like this and how chiropractic can help it.
Absolutely, yes.
Circle it around so you can educate, because indeed chiropractic is so simple. And I love what you gave us, as the tips that you gave us, because we need all the tips we can get, and we forget sometimes. I've been in practice for 20 years and I forget, you know, and life gets in the way, and then you coast and you forget why you're really there. And that's probably, I love mission trips, because it's a constant reminder of why I do what I do. And you know, we get caught up in this pain thing, and we forget the miracles that your body can do when it's fully turned on, or the power is enhanced, or however you want to call it, and how simple it can be if we can indeed not fight anatomy, and not have to argue with anybody, because who can argue with anatomy? Who can argue with the power that made this body? Nobody, really. We haven't figured it out yet, thank God. So so I think those are great tips, and that I feel will unify us more and get us more certain to move chiropractic forward to be the #1 leading profession, and helping the people heal themselves like we were meant to, and stop the bickering, because that doesn't get us anywhere. So but where can people find you, and how can they reach you to get more of these goodies from you?
That's an excellent question. Well, I can give my phone number, but ultimately you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me here on Facebook. You can, I actually have a website that has a library of over 60 different marketing strategies and systems, and it's marketdominationsolutions.com. I'm just launching that, but anybody can just reach out to me here on Facebook if you just want to stay connected, and I post stuff all the time. So
awesome. Well, you can definitely post the link here, and if there's any scripts or anything you want to give for free, you can also do it right below, because we need all the help that we can get. Please say hi to your wife for me. It was so nice to catch up with you. I look forward to seeing you in person somewhere around the lines. And thank you for joining me and being my first Be Live interview. Thank you for being my first. And we did it. I'm not sure how this is posting, but I think we did it. And I'm so grateful that you jumped in last minute when I had a cancellation, and you were fully on to play out with me on this Be Live a trial. So thank you so much, and thank you for the tips. I love and appreciate you. And
thank you so much.
Ciao.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you.